Lifelong resident of northern New Mexico. He was born in Santa Fe. Jerome graduated from St. Michael's High School in 1995 and enrolled at New Mexico State University. After a couple of years at New Mexico State, Jerome moved back to Santa Fe and began working as a bank teller at the Bank of Santa Fe. After holding numerous positions in the banking industry, Jerome was made one of the youngest banking officers at First Community Bank. Jerome attended and graduated from Western State School of Banking. Jerome enjoyed spending time with the youth of our community. He coaches Little League baseball and basketball and is a proud member of the board of directors at the Santa Fe Boys and Girls Club. Jerome's desire to serve his community is the reason he is here with us today. Jerome is married to Stephanie Block and has two sons, Jeremiah and Jaden. Rick Lass has been a resident of Santa Fe in northern New Mexico since 1984, when he moved here to attend St. John's College. After receiving his bachelor's degree, he worked a number of jobs, mostly in the service industry. He became involved in politics in 1995 and has worked since then on a mostly volunteer basis to make sure government works for all of us. He has lobbied to repeal the tax on food and medicine, promoted local business through the Santa Fe Alliance on the Buy Local campaign, and fought for valuable election reforms like public campaign financing and paper ballots. Rick wants to continue his work on behalf of New Mexicans by serving the Public Regulation Commission.
Good morning, everybody. You know, electric rate making, as is true of other rate cases, is not supposed to be arbitrary. Commissioners must base their decision on the official record established by the applicant company, the PRC staff, including utility staff, legal staff, and possibly contract expert witnesses. The Attorney General may also serve as an intervener, representing, as a consumer advocate, representing the interests of residential and small business customers. Our interveners may include AARP, state and federal government agencies. I believe it is established fact that industries considering locating in New Mexico consider many different factors, including the cost of living and the cost of energy. You know, another thing they look at is quality of life for their employees and the environment. Existing industries in the state also have the same concerns. One of the big issues involved is the cost of electricity as a type of fuel used to generate energy. The most economical fuel is coal, of course, but there are concerns about the environment with coal. Gas is the cleanest, most efficient, but is also the fuel most likely to have volatile pricing changes. With the cost of fuel adjustment recently allowed by the PRC, a utility may pass along any changes in fuel prices to the end consumer. Renewable energy technologies are also an important fuel source to be considered. Investor-owned utilities are required to provide 20% of their usage through renewable portfolio standard by 2020. And if elected to the PRC, it will continue to make the development of renewable energy a priority. You know, when considering rates, the PRC must take into account the type of energy technologies allowed or required. There is a balancing act which must be achieved to ensure the costs incurred do not expose the ratepayer, whether it be residential, commercial, or industrial customer, to higher than necessary electrical charges. The Commission must also be careful to ensure that the utility is kept healthy, with a rate of return which will allow the company the opportunity to raise necessary capital. I would also point out that in the most recent P&M rate increase, the Chambers of Commerce of both Albuquerque and Santa Fe were on record as supporting the increase.
Electric rates are a concern to all New Mexicans, homeowners, renters, businesses, and government. When rates go up, we all get hit multiple times. We pay more at home, we pay more at our businesses, more when we act as consumers, and more when we pay our taxes. New Mexicans cannot afford ever-increasing electricity rates, and before I vote for any further increases for our utility providers, I will ask questions like, why are you spending so much on advertising even though you're a licensed monopoly? How much are you spending on lobbyists and other non-essential expenses? And how much are you spending on salary and bonus programs for your executives? Unless PNM and the other investor-owned utilities tighten their own budgets, I don't think they can expect New Mexico's residents, businesses, and governments to do so. With the rising costs associated with health care for employees, for wages, and other costs, we need to do everything we can to keep utility costs affordable for the business community and for New Mexico residents. A large part of the problem, and the reason for the recent emergency rate increase, is the cost of petroleum-based fuels. Our utility providers need to see the light and begin investing in renewable energy technologies. While these technologies will require large initial investments, over the long run they will be much cheaper than continuing to rely on petroleum-based generators. Costs associated with coal and oil are going to continue to rise, but wind and solar are abundant and inexpensive. Palo Verde, the nuclear facility near Phoenix that provides about 15% of PNM's electricity, is nearly 30 years old, and the Four Corners coal-fired plants, where we get over half of our electricity, are close to 40 years old. New plants are going to need to be built regardless, and I will work with the utilities to facilitate their investments in clean, renewable energy technologies. Another often overlooked option is to localize our electricity production. I've met with ranchers in Clayton and Springer who want to know why the utility companies and the owners of the transmission lines are making it so difficult for them to tie into that grid. Here are people who are willing to make these initial expensive investments, if only to save one more expense or to get one more source of income from the land that they work and live on. I think they should be able to do that. Imagine if business owners and government could produce their own electricity and sell the excess back to the providers. Not only would this help us alleviate the loss of efficiency that's inherent in long transmission lines, but it would also open up an entire new area of entrepreneurialism for our citizens. People who are willing to make these initial investments in solar panels and wind turbines would be rewarded over time through free electricity and potential profits over the years.
Thank you.
Yeah.